Hey guys, new video here. Grinding Gear just released this video today. It's very exciting. It is most stuff that we already know, but I wanted to answer a question of what a lot of people will ask if they think that this looks cool is, should I try out the totems? The TLDR, if you don't want to watch the video, the answer is yes, you absolutely should, right? Now, if you ask like the, I guess like the Redditors, the common arguments that are made are, okay, the game has sped up, the power creep is at insane levels. We already know what the most powerful skills for certain situations are, and those probably won't get changed anytime soon. And so why would you place down a totem, which is a placement speed, weight, now the totem itself has a lesser cast time or lesser attack speed that has to use its ability, and then the monster gets hit and then it dies, right? Why would I do that when I could just shoot one skill and then just kill everything, right? And also, if you're talking about the defensive aspect, well, let's say there's a room, right? It's an indoor map or an indoor zone, and you drop your totems, you go into the hallway, you drop the totems into the room, and now you're defensive, you're waiting, and then the totems kill everything, right? That's pretty powerful. You have defensive options. Well, then the argument is like, well, you wouldn't do that, because if you go into the hallway and you're dropping the totem, there's placement speed, and then the totem has to kill it anyways, so you're waiting and the monster can attack you in that time, right, when it sees you. So why won't you just like shoot when you get into the doorway of that room and then move on, and then be faster and do more damage and be less like weird mechanics? And I think this is the wrong way to think about it, because the totems are fundamentally different for most totems that we know today. So if you take builds that use Ancestral Bond, okay? Ancestral Bond is a keystone that makes so you can't really do damage, but you get an extra totem. Well, most spellcasters that use totems as their main source of damage are using Ancestral Bond. They are using multiple totems that way, whether through the not only the keystone, but they can use gear and ascendancies possibly to get an extra totem. And that is very much tied into like these arguments that are made against totems, right? But I want to kind of stress and look at this video here that the totems that are coming out, they're called Ballista now, okay, to separate them from spell totems, are very quick, and they are actually not detracting. I don't think people are going to go full Ballista, because you can just shoot yourself as well. You can go Ballista as like a supporting thing that you don't need to use at all if you don't want to, okay? And why is that? Well, first, what they've said is that Ballistas spawn, not spawn, but they are placed much faster than traditional totems. So if you look in these videos, I haven't broken it down frame by frame, but if you've played the game, you kind of know what these timings are. It's looking like it's about maybe like a third of a second placement time, right? Whereas like some other totems are like maybe like 1 second base placement time, right? So you can place them. And another thing to notice is that they do have a pretty far range. And another thing is that they not only are they like being kind of placed quickly, but they are placed at the feet of the character. I don't assume that this character playing right now, it has their mouse directly under their feet, because you can see they're moving like left, right, upper right, and things like that, right? So the you can't place the totem very far away, but to compensate for that, the Ballista shoots from far away, and it is placed extremely quickly, kind of like just doing the attack yourself. You can see that the start attack happens extremely quick as well, right? So that's pretty cool. Another thing, I do not believe you'll ever want to go Ancestral Bond for these totems, because the great thing is each of the ones shown, the Shrapnel and the Artillery, they are 3 totems by default, and they said they're going to add different things to the skill tree to increase both, you know, stats for the totems and number of total totems. So if I were to assume you get 3 base, and you'll probably get like 1 or 2 on the skill tree, and then there's items that can add more, and then all that stuff, right? So yeah, that's how it's going to work in terms of like how mechanical will be like set aside from Ancestral Bond, okay? Now, why is this important? Because when you don't go Ancestral Bond, and when you use a bow is it's considered a two-handed weapon, which means that you can have a 6-link in there, right? A lot of time with like the spell totems, you have 1 6-link, which is your spell totem, and then 5 other links, and then a lot of time you don't use another 6-link, right? Because we can do damage ourselves, we can actually have a 6-link for our totem setup, and then a 6-link for our main skill as we want. We can even have a 4-link for our totem setup, and then 2 6-links, 1 for single target, 1 for area clear. So the best way to describe this is, let's say that you want to play, what's the skill that I really like leveling with? Rain of Arrows. And I want to play Rain of Arrows, if I eventually I slot like a 4, 5, or 6 link shrapnel totem or a artillery totem or the siege ballista support gem, right, which allows any skill. You can see ballista support here that can slot any bow skill, right? If I never press the ballista button a single time in my entire time playing the character to 100, the character is essentially the same. You can just play it as you did. You could play your tornado shot. Well, tornado shot's getting nerfed, but you could play like your ice shot. You can play your lightning arrow, and it is exactly the same character that you had before, right? And so that's what really sets it apart. And then not only that, is the situation that you can bring it out kind of go into this league. Because remember, this league is 2 parts. It's a challenge league and it's an expansion. So the conquerors are kind of burly, so the totems can only help you juice up your single target, right? They provide maybe a possible target for the boss, as well as putting out massive damage along with your damage, right? Now think of a skill like Mirage Archer. Why is Mirage Archer so good? Because it fires when you reposition. It fires when you're moving. It just keeps firing for 4 seconds, and that's insane, right? Even though you're sacrificing a little bit of damage, both on the Mirage Archer itself and on yourself for that missing link, right? But the totem has no such downside, because the totem actually is it's going to keep firing as well while you can fire. And once they're up, they have a base time of 8 seconds. So if you get all your totems out, and usually there's role play, right? They keep adding like role play and dialogue before the fight starts sometimes on these bigger bosses. So you're going to be able to get the for the metamorph as well, and there's like phases to the metamorph maybe. You're going to be able to get your totems out when it matters without sacrificing your damage, just like the Mirage Archer. And in this case, for the bossing capabilities, it's actually a little bit better, right? Because it's its own contained entity in another 6 link, or maybe in a 4 link, 5 link. Okay. So with that out of the way, now that you know it won't detract from the build you want to do, and it's like a free addition, let's talk about the actual gems here. So like right here, this is kind of the end of the build. First, we'll go with I guess we'll go with this one, right? The Rain of Arrows plus Ballista support. Now it doesn't have to be Rain of Arrows; it can be any bow skill. Ballista support is a support gem. It replaces ranged attack totem, and ranged attack totem basically. You probably won't find that in the game anymore. I don't know what's happening with Iron Commander. Once again, this is very early and things could change, but the support gem to make anything a ballista is going to be very strong, because you can try out different like all kinds of different skills, and then it's very easy, readily swappable, right? Or the colors will be very easy, and so this allows you to put any skill you want, castable 3+ totems at a time. And lots of variety there, right? That's wonderful. The next one, we have a Shrapnel Ballista. Now this is actually kind of hilarious, because this is a level 4 gem, right? As of right now. And if you can get it at level 4, you know, same level you get Orb of Storms, by the way. The Shrapnel basically shoots initially just 3 projectiles. It like breaks the arrow apart, so like shoots 3 things outwards in like maybe like 120 degree cone, and if the monster is close enough, it can get shotgunned by all 3 projectiles. So I'll put like a little tooltip right here, and you can see that what I believe it's going to be is at level 1, it's going to be 40% base damage. Now if we're going to take a skill that everybody knows, like that's like very simple, like split arrow. When you shoot a split arrow, and let's say the split does 100% of your base damage, then that's easy to calculate, right? It's just 100%. Well, the shrapnel ballista, once again for bossing, if it hits with all 3, it's going to start at about 120% base damage, which is already better than your split arrow if you are hitting with all 3. Now remember, it probably won't hit with all 3, because it like, you know, the placement is going to be iffy, as well as the boss is moving, as well as like, you know, projectile speed, things like that. But remember, you can have 3. So if at least one of the projectile hits from all 3, and it seems pretty fast, then you're already doing more than your split arrow attack. And then in the cases that in the perfect case scenario where all 9 of them hit from your 3, then that's, you know, 9 times 40 at level 1, that's 360% base damage. Let's say you know, later on, let's say you have like I don't know, maybe like 50% base damage, and you have like 5 of them, and then you have added arrows from a Death's Opus and all this crazy stuff. Like, it's just going to be like really crazy, because once again, it doesn't affect your main skill. So I think it's worth trying out. Now the one thing that's like kind of weird is like, is this going to be better, or is the level 28 skill going to be better? Because remember when Stormbrand and Armageddon Brand came out, with those two skills, we thought that Armageddon Brand was going to be kind of crazy, but it turned out Stormbrand, the lower level one, was actually better. So I don't know which one's going to be better. Like the projectile speed seems okay, but the artillery shots maybe is better because it has a lot of arrows. It looks a little bit laggier, but I think that it should have more range and maybe be a little bit more reliable. Quick note, in this split arrow video, I don't know what's kind of messed up here. The split arrow doesn't look like that. Split arrow has a yellow to green shine on it when it shoots out its projectiles, and in the video it was like it's not shooting its like colored projectiles even without MTX. It's just shooting regular arrows. So I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe probably just like an early version of the build. And so yeah, and so this Ballista, just like the other one, will benefit from added arrows and the bow modifiers and stuff like that, right? So so just to re-clarify, the Ballista, if you add arrows from it, from things like Arborix, Death's Opus, Dying Sun, Ascendancies, like all these sources, corruptions, they will be added to the Ballista at no damage penalty, and it's a big more multiplier if it all hits. Once again, there's things like LMP, GMP, which will make it less, but remember, when you calculate the total damage from adding the more projectiles, it will probably be a gain. And then you have things like the support gems plus, which just like bring these things to a whole nother level. So I think it could be really fun. Okay, and remember, level 4, you can try out the Shrapnel Ballista. If you don't like it, you can take it out. It does not hurt your bow build. If you were going any other bow build, you can easily swap them out without scuffing your build. Okay, Artillery Ballista is being shown here right now. This is a Dunes mount. He's killing Hillock. Now, as you can see, the Artillery Ballista, the way that it's going to work is that the Artillery Ballista shoots, it starts with, I think, like 6 additional arrows, and it shoots kind of in a line. It has a smart targeting where it tries to land that line of arrows to hit the most mobs at the time of where the mobs are when the Ballista starts shooting, right? So it's smart targeting, and it might have better coverage than the shrapnel, but we have to see this with added arrows, right? Because if the shrapnel, let's say you add like, I don't know, 10 arrows, right? And then of course you can steal splitting. Let's say you add like 10 arrows, right? Will it make the cone bigger, or will it just stack the arrows on top of the existing arrows? Like, how does the spread work? We don't know, right? Like, and then also for the Artillery Ballista, does adding arrows make the line, does it make it wider and thicker, or does it make the line longer, right? And also, you know, shrapnel has like a natural spread, whereas Artillery Ballista, if it is smart targeting and then they all shoot at the same time, is there like way more overlap there? Is this one going to be better? Is this one going to end up being better single target because of that? Like, we don't really know the finer details, and so this is just speculation at this point. But the basic principles of these being worth trying if you're going bow builds will be accurate, right? So Artillery Ballista level 28 skill. If you look at the skill gem that I've put on the screen here, it is a little bit lower base damage because it does just start with more arrows. So multiplicatively, when you add arrows, depending on how they stack, it could be it could actually be better or worse at both things, at boss damage and clearing than the shrapnel. We don't know yet, but we will easily figure that out as we go, right? If you have any questions, stream every day on Twitch, you can ask me there. We will keep making these videos as the new information comes out. And if anything I said was like really wrong or something, you can comment and let me know, or you know, I'll make a updated video later before the league comes out. I'm very excited about this league. I think it's going to be amazing, and hope you guys try the new Ballista supports. All right, thank you guys. Bye. Thanks for watching the video. Bye everyone. Bye.